All the pretty girls stand up. All the pretty boys stand up.
Pretty boys in the building.
Sway. This right here is my sway. Sway. All the girls are on me. Damn. Everybody pay attention. This right here is my pretty boy sway. 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 Girls on my rank. Pretty sway. Girl, screw my name. Sway. Pretty boy sway. Pretty boy sway. 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 Girl on my rank. Pretty boy sway. Girl, screw my name. Pretty boy sway.
Soldier.
Get out the way. Pretty boy coming through.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another stream with Swaggle Haas. It's Sunday night, as we kind of do on the YouTube channel. Sometimes we fire up the camera, we hit StreamYard, we go live. And tonight, we're doing just that. The reason for that is I haven't made a video in a week. I've been busy. I'm sorry. I know that you guys miss me. You're like, what would I ever possibly do for my comic book content and news if some random guy named Swaggle Haas didn't make videos ranting about all of the things to rant about on a weekly basis? Probably nothing. Probably you guys would have been just fine. And I'm sure that you were. But with that being said, I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened this past week. I finally had time to do a live stream here on Sunday. And I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to just like do sort of a weekly roundup. You know, shout out to Neo Cards and Comics. He's always like, Swag, you should just do a weekly roundup show. And I say, Rob, that's a good idea. You do it. I should probably just copy you. And so now I'm going to copy him. So from here on out, officially, this is the first episode of the Sunday night weekly roundup show. Am I going to be consistent? Probably not. Am I going to pretend like this is the start of something great? You better believe it. Okay. This is the start of something great. You guys were here first. You were here for this monumentous occasion. You notice how I had a different looking thumbnail tonight? Yeah, that's how special this is. I put in extra effort into the AI program to make a very special thumbnail just for tonight. Is it good? No. But, you know, maybe we'll go with it. Maybe we'll keep doing it. I don't know. But either way, I figured we would fire up the camera and talk a lot about, you know, the kind of comic news that happened recently. We had a original art / Marvel card heritage auction signature that was pretty awesome. I definitely want to do a big recap of that. I actually bid on one of the items. I'll tell you about it, tell you what my number was, but I didn't end up winning it, unfortunately, because it went for crazy amounts of money. But at the same time, maybe that's just what these things cost. Certainly that's what these things cost. The price is the price. Let's see. We also have some interesting comic link sales to talk about, some really high price figures. 9.9's are back, guys. Just when you thought 9.9's were going away, nah. Here in 2025, 9.9's are back, okay? Bigger number is better. Lizard brain tells me that's the case because people spend a lot of money on their 9.9's. So we have that to talk about. We have some other news. I see Brian from Beyond Wednesdays in the chat. I'm actually going to leverage his live stream last night because some interesting Dallas Fan Expo news kind of coming out of that. Multiple stories actually to touch on. One, sort of recapping a little bit of like the variants and the craze of all of it and, you know, the Tidalwave stuff and the Fame comic books. I want to dig into that just a little bit and talk to you guys here on the channel. I hopped over on Brian's stream and we had a little bit of a conversation, but I figured, hey, you know what, for documentary purposes, let's have my take here on the channel as well. And then also I wanted to talk about a post that Danielle, Nerdy Girl, made, which actually she ended up taking down probably because it was very, very contentious. And I thought it'd be kind of an interesting thing to talk about because, you know, in the world of comics, as things are changing and, you know, artists and retailers are evolving, there's an interesting outlook for the future, or maybe a grim outlook for the future for a lot of people in the retail space. And we're not just talking about physical stores. So we're going to get into that as well. And then we can just, kind of shoot the ish, as we call it, we'll just hang out. It'll be a chill stream. Maybe we'll just, talk to you guys in the chat. And I don't know, we'll go as long as we need to go. And we'll have a good time. Shout out to Derek, checking with you guys. Moon. Let's go, Derek. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate you. Always good to have you. We got Louise in the chat. Yo, what up, swag? What's going on, Louise? We got Eggplant Comics here. Time to get your swag on. Let's go. We got Arelis in the chat. Hey, everyone. Hey, Arelis. It's good to see you again. We got Neo Cards and Comics. There he is. Eyeballs. He got spotted. I called his name, and he was summoned. We got Brian Beyond Wednesdays in there. Neo Cards and Comics. Always stealing my stuff. Always. I will steal it. Listen, I just want to ride your coattails to YouTube fame. That's what I need to do. All right. One of these days, it'd be great if you could just be PewDiePie a lot faster here, and you could just become this massive mega influencer, and then I can really ride your coattails, and then I can actually eat off your plate. That would be actually really great. So if you could just get on that, which, by the way, we're never going to get there. We're never going to compete with PewDiePie unless you guys like the stream. So maybe give the stream a like. See who else is in the house. GT Key Comic, what's going on, GT Key? We got Reg in the house. What's going on, Reg? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in the live stream. We got Tacoma Geek in the house. 9.9's, the new 9.8's. Well, we're going to get into that story in a second. But before we do, a little bit more housekeeping really quick. Got to give a shout out to our company here, 24/7 Comics. We launched our fourth Kickstarter. The fourth Kickstarter for the company, a new book, Heroes Be Damned by Vince Sunuku. Also involved with it, Terry Kavanagh, famous Marvel Comics Presents editor legend in his own right. Nicholas Lucic as well. Heroes Be Damned, a really cool comic book. I'm gonna put a link in the description. You guys want to check it out. If you guys like Spawn, The Boys, those types of storytelling, go check it out. I think it's going to be a sick book. We already hit our goal. So, shout out to the team for making it happen. But the art is incredible. The story is pretty badass. It's pretty awesome. And if you like this gory stuff, you're going to really like this. Vince absolutely killed it here. So these guys did a great job with it. And we just launched this a couple days ago. So if you feel like hopping on the train and backing it, by all means, hop on that train. All right. Well, if you guys don't know, this past week, a couple days ago on Saturday, there was actually an auction for a lot of original comic art. But by comic art, what I actually mean is Marvel trading card art. I went to OAX this past month or so. It was earlier in the year at OAX, the original art expo, where all the bigwigs of the original art collecting world come together in Orlando, Florida, and buy and sell and do the whole thing. And they had a gallery this year with Marvel trading card art, and a couple of big collectors, dealers who are in that Marvel trading card art space brought a bunch of pieces and had made mention that eventually these pieces are going to be going up for auction at a future heritage auction. And we finally got that one. So this was actually really cool to see. And I thought it'd be cool to just kind of go over and show you guys some of the prices of what these things are selling for, because on the one hand, there's a lot of stuff that absolutely killed it. And then on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff that, I don't know, maybe underperformed. But what's funny about original art is it's very, very subjective. Although I feel like you can kind of put on your artist hat and then you can tell not Joe Jusko's best work, so there's a lot of pieces that underperform. But I think the belle of the ball was this one right here. I don't know if you guys remember the 1994 Marvel Masterpieces set. Flair Marvel Masterpieces done by Greg and Tim Hildebrandt. Absolute legendary artists and one of the most beautiful Marvel masterpiece trading cards I think there were. But this Spider-Man was stunning. It was at OAX. I got to see it in person. Incredible piece. And this was probably, the signature art piece of the show. At least it was the one that certainly yielded the most amount of money. But this one ended up selling for $81,200. $81,250. I mean, setting the market for incredible Marvel masterpiece artwork. Earlier, or I should say, in this same set, I think about a year ago, there was the Wolverine card and the Gambit card that sold, and the Wolverine card went for around $40,000. So this one going twice as much, I think, is pretty incredible. What was cool about this is actually it came with the original sketch as well. You get a PSA 10 right there of the card, which was fun. And then the beautiful frame job. Gotta love framing. You know, sometimes like framing is to art what Mylars are to low-grade comic books. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can have an okay piece, but if you give it like a sick frame job, that thing pops. And I love having the little double gold touch here. I thought that this presented extremely well. So really incredible piece, $81,000. I don't know. I don't know if that's a record for Marvel trading card art. I can't think of other trading card art that sold as much as that, but it was a big one. It was a big one. There was this original variant cover here by Jim Lee. That was a pretty cool page. This one going for $37,500. A lot of people thought that this would go for like $50K. But we don't need to go too much into it. I think it's an okay piece from 2022. I think it's too modern to pay this much, even if it's for a wonderful Jim Lee variant cover. But $37,000 is a lot of money. We had this piece right here, 2023 Marvel Masterpieces. This one by, I believe, Dan DeSantos. Dan DeSantos, incredible artist. Personally, not my favorite artist. I think he does amazing characters, but I personally think that the Greg pieces are better, which leads me to this one right here, 1994 Flair Marvel Masterpieces, the same set as the Spider-Man one. This one being the Black Panther card, selling for $20,000. Now, this got me thinking. $20,000, that's a lot of money. It's a beautiful card. That's a lot of money. And I happen to have in front of me right here the Dark Hawk card from the very same set. You guys remember this one? Check that out. And it got me thinking, who has this? Who's got this original art? I need your guys' help. We need to find who owns this because I want it. I totally want this. And I'm like, okay, if Black Panther sells for 20 and Dark Hawk is, how do I make a joke about this? Couldn't even tie the shoes on Black Panther's hero's boots. I think I can afford this, man. Like, we got to find the art. I want this. This is one of the coolest Dark Hawk pieces. And I feel like because it's done by the Hildebrands, like this, it'd be a nice piece. So yeah, thank you, Ryan, for 20 cents. $1. I will pay $1.50 for it right now, way above market. That is 5x the market. I will pay that. So if anyone knows who owns it, I'd like to know. But carrying on here, $20,000, really cool piece. This is another one that was at OAX. And honestly, like, it's funny how, like, I mean, maybe you guys had this experience, especially if you're in an art gallery or you're, looking at all the different pieces. Maybe you're browsing like comic art pages or heck, even comic books or whatever. You're looking around, like there was a bunch of Marvel masterpieces in the gallery as a whole, but you just look at it and you're like, these are just at a different level, like the artistry in this is just significantly better and everything is good. But there's just this, I believe the kids call it aura. There's an aura around this particular piece, whether it's a combination of the lighting, the colors, the textures on the canvas itself, the pose. It is just, which is why I think the next piece here the 2017 Flare Ultra Spider-Man Legacy insert with Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom. This was the flagship art piece of the sale. Like if you got the Heritage Auction like catalog, this was the thing on top of the catalog, and done by the same artist. But this is later on. This is 2017. Those other ones were 1994. So 13 years later, they come out with this piece. And again, it's like, it's a really sick piece. It's great. It's really good. But it's missing the je ne sais quoi, there's something about it that just doesn't hit like the Spider-Man one did. Maybe it's just me being not nostalgic about this piece, being that this is only 8 years old, but I don't know. And so a lot of people were shocked because this is a huge piece. This is like something that you would have like as like the figure piece for your, nerd room or whatever. But like, it just didn't have the it factor, It's pretty badass though. It's pretty badass. But this one only selling for $20,000. So you have this massive piece that like, stretches like this big. It's, I forget the exact measurements compared to that of like the Black Panther one. And the Black Panther one, which is fairly small, to be honest. I mean, it's this probably like more in that 8x11, your traditional printer paper size, selling for the same amount of money. So I don't know, this is kind of one of those things. It's one of those things. Then we have the Joe Jusko. Joe Jusko did a 2016 Marvel Masterpiece set. And, listen, he's a legend. He's one of my favorite artists. Also, a little bit of a side note. Can we talk about something for a second? Okay. How do you guys say his name? Is it Jusko or Jusko? I thought it was Jusko. And I used to say Joe Jusko in my videos until one person wrote in a comment a really, really snarky thing saying, Swag, it's Joe Jusko. Okay. And I felt bad. I felt really bad that day. I walked with my head down all week thinking about the random commenter who said that I said his name wrong. But then I was watching this auction and the auctioneer was like the entire time this incredible Joe Jusko piece. And I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio meme. She says it like I says it. And she's the Heritage auctioneer and she's right. So I want you to know, person in the comments who commented on the way that I pronounce his name, you're saying it wrong, sir. You're saying it wrong. Jusko. I want you to know that this might be the way to pronounce his name, Jusko. But the Heritage auctioneer said Jusko. So I'm going to say that Joe is wrong with how he says his name. But I got shamed for that. And I want you to know that it is a totally understandable thing as to why I would say it the other way. Is this? I'm not saying I'm right. Oh, you're voting for that. Pretty sure it's Jusko. Jusku. Jusku? Jusku. Jusku. Can we just say, listen, if no one's ever said it to me, if Joe himself has never said it, and frankly, yes, I've never watched an interview with him in it, or at least one where he says, hi, I'm Joe, insert pronunciation. So I don't know. I've only just read it. That's the thing. People always say like, oh, you don't know how to say that word. It's like, yeah, it's because I read it. I've never heard it. Anyways, carry on, Swag. Get down to the market report. This piece right here, 2016, he did this set, which again, cool set, not the same as his 1992 work. Like the 1992 work, the very first Marvel Masterpiece works like the most iconic. I did that video where Dinesh bought a couple of the pieces. He bought the Strong Guy and the Mr. Sinister from that 1992 set. I think that the artwork on that was better. And you have to understand, what's crazy about it is these artists are being commissioned to do an entire card set. So we're talking like 100+ figures at the highest fidelity that they can produce. So like, it's a lot of work, and they're definitely going to get fatigued over the time in which they're doing all the artwork. Like, I'm sure they're going to put, the extra passion and heart and soul into like the main pieces. But I have to assume too, that like when Joe gets the work in 1992, he's like, this is an awesome opportunity. I'm really excited about this. I'm doing an entire card set to my likeness. And then when it's like, hey, Joe, do you want to do it again in 2016? He's like, how much you pay? You know? And so I don't know if these cards were his best work, but this Hulk piece was pretty cool. And it was the one that got the most amount of money, $13,750. I think that as far as what the art people were talking about, as far as like what they thought were, you know, what these pieces should be selling at, and some of the prices that I saw at OAX, maybe this is what auctions do. They sell for less, but this was not what people were hoping to get. These were below sticker, I guess is the way to put it. So even though the premier piece of the auction did incredibly well, doubled the last thing, the Jusco pieces didn't perform as well. All right, now here it is, guys. This was the piece I was very interested in. I bid on this one, but I dipped once it got to 9K. I didn't even want to spend 9K. I went all the way up. I was hoping to get this for 6K, but this one right here, 1990 Impel Marvel Universe number 78 Mephisto original trading card artwork. Look at that, guys. You guys remember it. We all had it. The OG Mephisto card. And there it is. The original artwork by Tom Morgan. I even like the frame. But this piece was at OAX. And it ended up selling for $11,250. I am shocked that it sold for that. I did a lot of research, which actually wasn't a lot of research because there was not a lot of research to be done. It was like really difficult to find any sort of viable comps for what a 1990 original art piece card has sold for. Frankly, they haven't sold in a long time. But the best things I could find were the Series 2 ones. Those were selling for like $5,500 for some team up fights. So they weren't like the singular issue characters. Mephisto's probably bigger than that. So I was like, okay, maybe this will be 6 or 7. But even at 6 or 7, at that point, you're like, you could buy like a Copper Age cover of like a pretty cool book, a pretty cool like Copper Age comic, original art for around 6K. Like you could probably find like, I don't know, like a cool New Warriors cover, from the Copper Age. That would be 6K. And I was like, this is just, this is a small piece of art. Look at how small this is. Like, this is the card. Look at how small the art piece is. It's like only like twice as big. But I guess it's that more iconic. Somebody really wanted it. 11,000. So there it is, guys. There's the market for the 1990 Impel Series 1 cards. No joke. And honestly, they're not that common. They're actually pretty hard to find. There's not that many on CAF that are listed as far as like people that actually own it and showing that they own it. So I kind of understand that, if you're somebody who just wants to collect this thing, what really is the difference between paying 8K, 9K, 11K? Like, who cares? It's all the same price at that point. I kind of wanted to buy it because, we got to get the best deals we can here on the channel. So those were kind of the coolest pieces. I'll quickly flash through a couple other stuff before we kind of get into the next topic. Some other Dan Dos Santos pieces, a Rocket Raccoon for 10K, Groot for 87. Here's another Joe Jusko one, the Punisher. This one was all right. The art's okay on this one, I think. 87.50. He had a Hella piece, 6,800. Jane Foster, 62. Cyclops, 61. Like, maybe that's cool, but I think the problem with this piece is like, no, nobody wants this outfit from Cyclops. This is, how many people have ever said that this outfit of Cyclops is their favorite? None. No one has ever said that. And if you've said that, you're a liar. Some other pieces here, some Bianchi pieces. Here's a Hawkeye one, 4K. And, some other artwork and some cool stuff. But it was an interesting auction. Somebody got Multiple Man for $2,100. Not bad. Not bad, actually. Original art piece done by Joe Jusko for $2,100. I feel like is a pretty good, hey, cool to have regardless. Even though I think if we put our art hats on, not the coolest multiple man, not the coolest pose, but congratulations to the buyer. It's still really, really cool. So there you have it, guys. Marvel trading card art did okay. It did okay. You know, I was thinking about this, like, what is it about Marvel trading card art that I love? I think it's just the nostalgia, you know, and it's cool that it's a finished piece. You know, a lot of times you get the actual painted thing, you know, it's a full colored rendered piece that can live on its own. But at the same time, a lot of the card art is just a portrait, and a portrait doesn't have much story. Like, it's like, here's a picture of Wolverine. And it's like, we buy art for the story. So sometimes like seeing a comic art page where there's emotion expressed in it is better than trading card art. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. But either way, I think that was cool to see. All right, let me check back in here. We got Ozzy in the house. Good to see you, Ozzy. Thanks for stopping in. We got Comic Doctor in the house. What's going on, Doc? Kevin, thanks so much for hopping in. MSG in the house. What's going on, guys? So yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. I was, again, surprised by the Mephisto piece selling for what it did. But maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, because I should have known that Mephisto is everybody's favorite character, as we can see from Ryan Automatic Comics post right here. Did you guys see this sale? CGC 9.8 Silver Surfer 3. First appearance of Mephisto. Selling for $94,000. Basically hitting the six-figure range. That is wild. That is crazy. I think the last sale for this was like around 50K or something, or maybe it was 40K. So it's pretty crazy to see that this thing doubled. Admittedly, like, these square bound Silver Surfer books are pretty expensive in 9.8. Like, if you look at Silver Surfer 4 and Silver Surfer 1, the other kind of big keys from this, I'm pretty sure Silver Surfer 1 has also hit six figures. And Silver Surfer 4, I also believe in 9.8. Maybe that's six figures. Maybe it's not quite that high, but, you know, close to that. So I kind of get that, you know, people are passionate about this books, but man, $94,000 is a lot of money for that book, especially, as Ryan aptly put it, when you look at the 9.6 underneath it that sells for $5,000. Fellas, can we talk about this for a second? What is the difference between a 9.8 and a 9.6? Is it $90,000? Is that the difference? Can we even accurately tell what the difference is between those two books? If we cracked them out, shuffled them in our hands, and resubmitted them, would they both come back as the grades in which they were intended? Now, I know the CGC pro shillers would say absolutely, swag, absolutely. And to a degree, I do agree with that. But for comedic effect, I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make a point. I had Matt Nelson on this channel a year ago. We had a great conversation, and I was asking him about 9.9's and 9.8's and all of this stuff. And after speaking with him, I still don't know what the difference is. I still don't know. Apparently, it's $90,000. What you're buying is the number. See, here's the thing. Let's have a real conversation here, guys. Let's have the real conversation, okay? Adults are in the room. Let's be adults here. We're buying the number. Okay? We're not buying the book. Buy the book, not the grade. Erroneous. Erroneous. It's all about that number, baby. It is all about that number. You know why? Because the number says it. You point to the number and you're like, that's a 9.8 because CGC said so. And that's the bottom line because Matt Nelson said so. That's what it is. Buy the number, not the book. Buy the grade, not the book. That's what everybody does. So let's not pretend anymore. Let's not pretend anymore. Okay? It's a 9.8, therefore it's $98,000. The 9.6, yeah, it's a piece of shit next to this 9.8. The 9.8 is so much better. It's so much better that you should pay that extra $90,000. That's what it is. So I'm just saying. I'm the guy that's just saying. Let's say the quiet part out loud. We all buy the number. This sale proves that. Now I saw in the chat, maybe the CVA sticker. You're right. You know what? That's actually another good point. This actually helps my point. If you guys noticed, Ryan, your photo is fuzzy. So even though I'm leeching your content for my own content, I'd appreciate it next time if you could have a sharper image. But if you guys notice on the 9.8 in the upper corner, it's got this little metallic little thing up there. That's a CVA sticker. Now, we've talked a little bit about CVA stickers in the past, but let me give you guys a little refresher. CVA stickers is something that you could pay CVA, this company, and they'll notate with a sticker on your book that not only is this a 9.8, it is a exceptional 9.8. And they don't just give it out for free, you know. You can pay them $20 and they'll probably just put it on there anyways. But they have standards. Okay? Their standards are $20. But they have standards, okay? Standards. They're not just going to put a sticker on any old book. So now it makes sense. Why did it sell for $98,000? $50,000 more than the previous sale to it? Because it had a CVA sticker on it. Which again, brings us to the main point. Buy the sticker, not the book. Buy the number, not the comic. I'm saying what it is. This is what it is. It says 9.8. Got the sticker on it. That makes this better. And every single time. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. I do have one more, though. Let's see if we can pull this one up. Check this out, guys. Once again, I Swaggle the greatest, most original comic book content creator who, unlike AI, never copies anybody like Neo or Automatic or soon to be Brian McClay on Wednesdays later on in the stream. I have another thing here shared by Ryan Automatic Comics, which was another image that he shared. Amazing Spider-Man number 361 in the CGC 9.9, selling for $18,510. $18,000. Now, hold on. There's a little bit of caveat. Hold on. We got to pull up prices stuff. We got to put this into perspective. I was not prepared. Hold on, guys. ASM 361, first appearance of Carnage. That was a Comic Link sale. Oh, fellas, I know what we're going to do. Check this out. Amazing Spider-Man 361. 361. Can I get a witness? Here we go. All right. 361. We're in Go Collect. We go into here. What did the last 9.9 sell for? Now, there's only 3 on the census. No sales data here. Maybe I'd have to go to GPA. But again, a 9.8 for this book. Everybody's favorite Spider-Man villain. Recently selling for $339. But a 9.9, $18,500. Now, let's just really quickly clarify something. Let's just clarify. Again, Ryan, we really need to work on your, quality here. But if you guys notice, see all this little gibberish in the label? And actually, you know what? I'm not blaming Ryan. You know who we need to blame? We need to blame Comic Link. Comic Link doesn't allow you to, pull up these old sales. And I wasn't following this book and I tried to search it before the stream and I couldn't find it. And that's what's so annoying about Comic Link. So that's why I have to use Ryan's picture. But if you guys notice on the label, there's all this jibber jabber right there in the middle of it, like little small notations. This is a like quadruple cover or something crazy like that. Like not a double cover, not a triple cover. It's like a four pull cover or something. I don't know. I can't remember, but that's what it was getting at. So the question is, which cover is the 9.9? I mean, maybe the 9.9 is the most interior cover. You have 4 chances to get the 9.9. And being that CGC, as we've established, does comparative grading, I mean, one of those covers was going to look better than the others. So I guess that's kind of makes sense why they got the 9.9. But that's kind of interesting that you would pay $18,000 for that. A 10x multiplier, more than 10x multiplier. Excuse me. Like, again, what did we say? Ryan says it's like third or fourth cover. Yeah, it's protected from the other ones. The front, oh, okay, here we go. Front cover was a 9.2. But you know what's so funny about that? It just goes to what we say once again, buy the number, not the grade. Because even though you're going to have to stare at this monstrosity of a collectible with a bunch of spine ticks on it that say that make it a 9.2 book, and you're going to have to look at it in its plastic tube on your shelf and see these white creases over your prized possession. You also get to look at that 9.9 number in the gold in the upper left corner and go, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that 9.9 looks good, man. That 9.9 looks good. So, again, everybody just wants to buy the number and not the book. And that's the world that we live in. Now, what is interesting here is, guys, should we do it? Should we crowd report together the crowd report live in real time? Remember the other week when Go Collect put out that you can list reported sales? How about we do it together? I can show you guys how we do it. We just got a 9.9 sale. When did this happen? 5/16. Let's do it together. Shall we? 5/16. Sold price $18,510 at an auction. Choose the venue type on a online auction house. Other Comic Link. They probably hate this, by the way. Like, they so are not happy about the fact that people can report sales and sales data on Go Collect because they want this information for themselves. Do I need to incorporate a URL? Because I can't do that. Transaction image. Let me just upload this again. CGC. I'm not looking at the cert number. Okay, universal. And then 9.9. White pages. Submit sale. And just like that, guys. Just like that. There it is. Swaggle Haas. 18,510 on the 9.9. We did it. We contributed. And that's how it's done. That's how it's done. I'm waiting to finish the submission so I can report it as BS. No, Derek, we have photo evidence, okay? It is official. It is in the record books. It is now on this live stream that, for all you guys know, is being generated by AI. How do you guys know that I'm even real? Have you ever met me in person? No. Actually, some of you have. A lot of you had. Hold on, Zealous. We're going to get there. Sydney Sweeney bathwater in the background. Don't act like I didn't prep the Sydney Sweeney bathwater. We are getting to that, sir. You better believe it. I did want to pull up something that one of you guys were saying somewhere, but I lost it. Oh, Neo was saying, get rid of 9.9's. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Actually, for science purposes, what do you guys think of the 9.9? What if grading companies decided, you know what? Let's not do 9.9's anymore. Let's just do 9.8's and 10.0's. So in theory, if a book was going to be a 9.9, they would actually just give it a 10.0. How do you guys feel about that? What would be your sense of not having 9.9's in the zeitgeist anymore? 9.9's are dangerous. I'm actually fine with it. I'd buy a Sydney Sweeney Spider-Girl cover. It's probably not too far away from you being able to buy a Sydney Sweeney Spider-Girl cover, being that the next topic I think we have to get into are the Fame and Tidalwave books. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about this. Can we talk about it? Once I pull it up. We had Dallas Fan Expo. Oh, wait, you guys are saying more. You guys are weighing in. Hold on. Swag, don't get ahead of yourself. Greg says, makes sense. 9.9 is a silly grade. Let's get rid of 9.8's and had 10s and 11s at the top. A little bit of a spinal tap in the comic book market. If they have 9.9, they should have a 9.1 as well. It's a good point. So we should kind of just get rid of the 9.9's since we're not going to have 9.1's. Scarlet Letter, the 9.9's. Cameron says, Mickey is as real as that soap actually having Sydney Sweeney's bathwater. Do not crush my dreams, Cameron. Do not ruin it for everyone who submitted to the Sydney Sweeney bathwater giveaway. Like yours truly. I think if it is a 10, it should be a steak emoji. I agree with that. But very interesting. Very interesting. It seems like the 9.9, as we've gotten to the world where we're at with comic books with 9.9's and 10's, they almost feel a little bit redundant to where it's like, okay, if we already sort of as a community have kind of agreed that 9.8's are like a perfect book, and then on the rare occasion, there might be a more perfect book, a la a 9.9 or a 10. It's like, do we really need those like granular distinctions and the 0.1 differences? Because it feels like there's no real absolute consistency in those. Although on paper, you know, if you read CGC's grading guide, there are terms in which would say like, oh, well, what differentiates a 9.9 and a 10? It's just, it doesn't really feel like they always follow that. So they make it hard on themselves. Like, why wouldn't they just say, you know what, let's just do 9.8's. And on the rare occasion, we can give a book a 10 and just say like, this is like an exceptional version of that book. Once you get into like the minutia of like, oh, it's a 9.9, 10, like it just, you know, it's too specific and it opens itself up to question versus if they just had one thing. Frankly, they should probably just not have 10s because nothing is perfect. So 9.9 could be the perfect thing. But then it's a losing argument because Lizard Brain wants me to have a 10 because Lizard Brain says that number is better. And as we've already established in the stream tonight, buy the number, not the book. All right. So it was Dallas Fan Expo this past weekend. And there was a lot of interesting kind of stories and, you know, subjects to talk about and conversations to broach and topics to discuss. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of have a little bit of a conversation with you guys here today. I mean, I'll certainly weigh in and give you guys some of my thoughts, but I'd love to hear what you guys think as well, you know, in the chat. But two things going on. One, there's been an explosion, starting with earlier than C2E2, but I think C2E2 this past con that happened a few months ago really brought it to, I'll say it like this, brought it to, the limelight for me. I mean, maybe people have been knowing about this for a while, but like, for me, it was like, this was a very clear push for a lot of these books. If you guys don't know, there's a company called Tidalwave. They create biography books. And what these is they're variants that, I'm just going to call it what it is. They are bootlegs of IP from Marvel and Star Wars. And they're able to get away with it because they create them to be biographies of certain artists. So if you, a retailer, wanted to make a Daredevil comic book, you could go through Marvel, or a variant cover. You could go through Marvel. You could go through the process of dealing with them, as we've already established many times in this conversation. If you're a retailer and you want to do your own retail variant, from Marvel, you have to buy like 3,000 copies. I'm sure you guys watch Bry's comics. He's done this ad nauseum in various forms with his Bryce pack, and you guys have probably absorbed that information. You're buying 3,000 copies, but it's really 4,000 copies because maybe you want a version of it, and then you have to destroy it down to create the rarity, and you have to buy a lot of comic books. That's really what it is. So Tidalwave, this new company that has been around for a long time, sort of came along and started to do this sort of spin of the thing and different approach to the game, where they said, well, what if you were to do a Charlie Cox variant cover, Charlie Cox being the actor who plays Daredevil in the Daredevil show, and you draw him in his outfit, and he kind of looks like Daredevil, and you call it a Charlie Cox comic book biography. And it's like a virgin anyways, so you don't need to like have it say Marvel on it, and you can just print 100 of them. And so now, instead of having to deal with Marvel and do the whole thing and buy 3,000 copies and destroy them down, blah, 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 you can just work with Tidalwave, print 100 copies of the Charlie Cox biography that's not Daredevil, and get your con exclusive that way. You can de-risk and do the same thing where you are able to make your profit as a retail variant exclusive. So that formula has sort of taken over. And here's the thing. I want to be very clear. I don't fault anyone for doing this. And what I mean by that is, I mean the retailers or the sellers or the whatnot creators or the online retail stores. Anyone who has an online business who is in the variant game is going to do this. You're always going to move to the path of least resistance. And so long as there's people who are willing to buy these things and they don't care that it's a biography of Charlie Cox versus a officially licensed Marvel comic book, and they just think it still looks cool, then what's really the problem? Retailers and comic sellers are just that. They are retailers and they are comic sellers. So they would be foolish not to do this thing. Again, it's like, what is it? It's like money always goes to the path of least resistance. And everyone is always going to go to the most efficient thing that they can do in order to be successful in a very, very cutthroat and difficult modern comic book exclusive market. So I don't fault any retailers going this way and trying to do this thing. I do take a little bit of an issue with Tidalwave as a company. And again, I don't know those guys, but I tend to think that they are probably really, really going up to the edge of what is allowable here. Like, I'm sure if they got counsel legally, it's like, yeah, like it's a biography, it's totally fine, you can do it, like no big deal. I'm sure that, that's probably partially true. But I have a feeling that if Marvel just saw it and caught wind of it and decided, like, you know what, this is not good for our business and wants to come down at it, the lawyers would say, yeah, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Now, this is an entire ecosystem of what Comic Cons have been for a long time. Because if we're really thinking about Comic Cons and con artists, like, you guys know, you go into the comic book con and take away like the actual working artists. Like, you just go in there and you see like a random kind of mom and pop artist who's doing like spray paint renditions of Daredevil himself and just selling prints of his own artwork. Well, clearly he's taking IP that doesn't belong to him and he's just doing his own version of it and he's selling his own prints. And sort of like, that's already kind of a gray area as well. And for a long time, those people were afraid to be selling at comic book cons, but eventually it just became a thing. And now you go to comic book con and you go up to any vendor in any capacity and they're selling Marvel, whatever. Like there's Daredevil pins that are being sold and there's a t-shirt that has Wolverine punching Donald Duck on it. You know, it's like people make this stuff. This is what it is. It's a swap meet. So I understand that there's kind of this gray area here, but if we're being really honest, like when you're making a competing product, a literal comic book versus what in theory Marvel would be doing, that's where I feel like this publishing company, I don't know. They're having some issue here. You know, it's one thing if like you make your own t-shirt with a Marvel character on. It's another thing if you're literally making a comic book that's a competition with actual comic books that are being created. So that's what's so iffy about it. But I wanted to pull up here a couple things that I can show you guys that I think would sell the point home. And it was actually on the thumbnail. So at Dallas Fan Expo, this was one of the recent ones that came out. There are these books called Fame. So you guys can see what it is right here. Fame, Charlie Cox, Dallas Fan Expo exclusive, Daredevil Punisher, limited to 150. So what's crazy about this is like you look at it and like anyone who goes into a con or whatever is going to look at it and they're going to say, hey, that's Punisher, that's Daredevil. And again, this is a book that was made by Pressable Defects, and shout out to those guys. Like I consider us all friends. And again, I don't fault retailers for doing this, but like, it's so interesting how this model works, right? Where it's like, oh, you just make this book and you guys can see that that's like John Bernthal. And then this is like Charlie Cox. So it's like, this is how they get around the legal issues of it not being a Punisher and Daredevil book. And the fact that it's a Virgin, you can actually see that it doesn't say, Marvel on it. And there it is right there on the spray paint. Tidalwave Fame, Charlie Cox. So this stuff has been going on. There was a Bird City, shout out to them. They had like, Bird City did a book that was a Star Wars one. And that's kind of like a whole other story. And again, I'll point to Brian McClay's stream. He talks about that in the industry show and they had a whole discussion about it. But I just think that this whole market for these comics is just very, it's really wild and it's very interesting. And I think the more macro discussion of the topic is it's just how I preface it. Like retailers and sellers are going to do whatever they can to move product and they have to de-risk, and selling comic books is getting harder and harder and the margins are tighter and tighter. And so they have to do what they have to do in order to make their money, and doing their own IP, that where they could work with a company like a Tidalwave, let's say, and do their own kind of special variant or whatever. Like, let's face the facts. Like, it's just not going to sell as well as a book that looks like a Marvel book. So it makes sense as to why retailers are moving this way, because they sort of have to. In order to compete with the other retailers, they have to do this, because if they don't do it, someone else will. And this is kind of like the what do you call it? Like the Mexican standoff that we sort of live in with even the AI art world. And I don't want to go too much into the AI art situation because like that's a whole other conversation. But like, again, the concept of if you don't do it, someone else will, and they'll beat you to it and they'll do it faster and whatever, and then they'll be more successful. So like in order for you to compete, you have to do it. And I think that that's kind of where the variant world has been evolving to, and why so many of these things have been created. We had like, I made a video about C2E2 where there was like 350 variants or whatever. Dallas Fan Expo, there was 560 something. Like that's how many variants there were. It was like wild how much were being created. And like a lot of them are the famed Tidalwave books, like a lot of them are that. Like it's totally crazy. Now, I wanted to show you guys more books. I might have said to actually, and I actually don't know if Pressable Defects made that variant. I know that they had done a Tidalwave variant. I don't know that that's theirs. That was their store though, that had that thing listed. But I want to show you guys another one here, just so we can kind of nail this point home before we kind of move on to the next thing. Here's another one right here. Again, Fame book. And Fame, again, being the framework for it being a biography of who it's about. Fame, Robert Downey Jr., Dallas Fan Expo, Secret Drop Throne. I mean, again, like it's a Doctor Doom book, right? But like they can get away with it because it has Robert Downey Jr.'s likeness drawn into it. Now, if you were just a regular person going to the con, like you might just think that this is like a Marvel book, right? Like it's a Doctor Doom, I'm going to buy it. So it's a very interesting thing. And again, I'll go back to retailers are going to do what they need to do in order to sell. And I want to kind of have that concept transition to the next thing, which is actually something, again, shout out to Brian, who's in the chat right now. On his show last night, they had a conversation about this in their drama report. This was the post that Danielle, Nerdy Girl, made. And again, she took it down, and I had seen when she made this post, and I wanted to do a video on it, but I'm glad that Brian was able to pull it up so I can kind of go back to it. But one thing that the post was talking about, and actually it's connected to one more thing I want to share, again, to frame our conversation. This thing that was posted by Ryan, or shared with me for Ryan, he said this in a comic book group. This person said, if you show up to a con line to get an artist's signature with a wagon of 400 plus books, you're an a-hole and deserve to be flogged. It happened at Fan Expo Dallas today. And so this is now the whole other side of where things are moving right now, as far as column flippers, retailers, whatever, trying to make money in comic books. People showing up with gaggles of comics to get signed. Now, this person who brings 400 books to get signed by the same artist, maybe they're just a super fan. We don't know, but it's probably unlikely, right? We know what they're doing. They're getting all these books signed so that they can sell them and flip them. And Danielle made a post here on her Instagram that she took down, that she kind of brought up this idea that like there's a lot of artists right now that are doing this thing where they say, hey, I'm going to charge $10 for a signature on a book. So this is what Tom DeFalco said. He said, signatures are $10 each for anything except ASM 252 and What If number 105 are $20. A witness one is $30, meaning witness, like they know that you're going to send it to CGC, has a premium on it. And then it says here, dealers, retailers, eBayers, anyone with 3 or more copies of the same item is $30 each. And similarly, there was another part of this post about John Boy Myers that said, if you're thinking about getting a graded SIG from John Boy Myers on a ratio, then don't waste your time. He's trying to charge $100 for his SIG if you're getting it on one of his 1-in-100s. Truly unbelievable. So this person was very upset by that. But going back to Danielle's main post, she kind of just threw out this interesting idea of the conversation, which was like, hey, just so you guys know, like, what do you guys think about this? Like that artists are trying to charge more if you're going to get the same book signed, or you're getting a certain key signed that artist likely knows is a likely candidate that is going to be sold, like the ASM 252, things like that. Or that if you're getting multiple copies signed, they're charging a premium on that. And what I found was very interesting was the retailers in the Instagram thread of Danielle's a lot of them were kind of upset at the artists for this. And again, to square this whole circle, it's like, it's tough out there. It's tough for retailers. And they're upset about it because they know that it's eating into their margins. If they can't get that, cheaper signature and make that margin when they flip it, which inevitably they are going to flip it, like, and artists are charging for that, then they're going to be upset about it because this was their cash cow, and this is why people go to the Fame variants or go to Tidalwave or try to do these things or try to do the quick sale or try to do the thing that de-risks and makes it easier for them to get their money, because it is tough. It's so hard to like make money in comic books because one, comic books are not what they were during lockdowns, COVID, what they were 2 years ago, as far as like the hypes and stuff, although comics are doing great. Like people are very excited about them, but also maybe more importantly, there's so many people that are sellers. It's so competitive. There's so many whatnot sellers. There's so many online retailers that are doing their exclusives. There's so many people waiting in line to get a bunch of signatures by such and such artists so that they can get it graded at CGC so that they can flip their copies on eBay. And then you on your eBay store are competing with all the other ones that got signed that are trying to get that money on eBay. So it's wild right now, like people are very, very testy. And I wish there was a way to go back to see what some of the conversation was, but I found it kind of surprising. And maybe this is easy for me to say because I'm not a retailer, and fortunately, like, I don't have to like make my money this way, but like, why are they getting mad at the artist? You know, like, it's kind of crazy to me that they're upset that the artist would charge them more. Like, it's kind of just obvious. And if anything, you know, the market is the market. If John Boy Myers is like, I don't want to sign your book for $100 unless you pay me $100, that's up to him. You know, it's like the same thing where, you know, the opposite part. Where, remember when Jim Lee was like, my commission price for arts is like $25,000, and all the collectors were upset about it, and they were like, how dare he charge too much? It's like, you're not owed a commission from Jim Lee. You know, you're not owed a signature from John Boy Myers. Like, you're not owed a margin from Tom DeFalco. Like, you're not owed the chance to flip comics at Comic Cons. At one point, it was a successful thing to do. Maybe it's not going to be successful anymore, you know? And I just think it's a really interesting conversation. And I'm sympathetic. Like, I get it. Like, of course I would be upset if that was how I made money. Because all of a sudden it's like, damn, like, this is it. This is the end of the road. Like, you got to pivot now. Like, the way in which you were able to make money before doesn't exist. But there was no guarantee that it was always going to exist. There was no guarantee that it was going to be a thing that you could do for the next 30 years of your comic book life. Things change, you know? And I think that we're definitely hitting that point. And I don't know, like, I think people like Tom DeFalco and John Boy and guys like this, like, what's an extra bunch of signatures to them? You know, I would even say it like this. It's like, I don't even think that they value it as far as like, oh, I don't like that you're making money off of my name. I want that premium by you paying me that. I just think of it that they probably just think like, for them, especially like a Tom DeFalco, I don't know about John Boy, but this is what I would just assume. I'm just going to, you know, I'm speculating. I don't know. I'm not in his head. But like for Tom, it's like, doesn't he just want to like enjoy the rest of his life and connect with the people that he's made an impact with? And he's like happy to sign a 2-person for $10. Like, hey, you're a fan too, Mickey. I hope you like Darkhawk, you know? And it's like, that's what he wants to spend the rest of his time with. Like, he doesn't care about giving money on a whatever or making any more money from his signature anymore. That's what I think. So I don't know. It's just, but people were really upset about it. And I just thought it was a very interesting conversation. And I'm actually curious to see what you guys think about that. Let me kind of dive in here. Last time I was at Heroes, I saw some people with the biggest dolly I've ever seen loaded down with long boxes for signatures. I was behind them for hours in the Roy Thomas line. Yeah. People are, you know, and this is second and third order effects from where we were with the development of the ecosystem of comic book selling, right? Where there were only so many people that were doing this at a certain level pre-COVID, right? Like, there were certain people that would go to the shows. I mean, there were a lot of people, right? There were a lot of people that would go to the shows, they get a bunch of signatures, they list them on eBay, and they would sell them. And it was probably just at a level that was fine. You know, like it was okay. And it wasn't that big a deal to like the economy of artists that were dealing with this thing. And then we had COVID and things got crazy and comic books went crazy. And then we had Whatnot and eBay Live and Instagram Live sales and the explosion of online retailers and con exclusives and variants and all this thing. And it became bigger and bigger and bigger business. And I bet people like Chris Claremont could feel the difference in every show that he would go to. Where it's like, he could just feel the difference of like the types of people and what he was being asked to do and what types of signatures he was putting out there. And a lot of the modern artists, right, who are like kind of raking it in on these like the modern retailer stuff that, you know, I kind of equate the retail variants as being something that is very successful within the Whatnot space. Like, you can tell, like a John Boy Myers, perfect example. Like, you can tell, like, they probably are just getting a new culture of people that are asking for stuff, because there was never a whatnot before. There was never an opportunity for these types of people to cash in so much. So I don't know, and again, I'm friends with a lot of people who are retailers and do this thing. And I think that they should absolutely, by all means, like it's capitalism's free market. Like they're hustling, they're doing what they can. Hopefully they're providing a service, that they're getting signatures to people who want them. That's the most charitable version of what obviously they're doing. But the whole thing, it's the house of cards, right? It's like there was no guarantee that this had to be a successful thing forever. And, again, shout out to Brian and his industry show. They've been talking about how, we've even had a lot of conversations about the Kickstarter model and all this stuff, and people being able to do it themselves. And like, you don't need these people anymore. And like, why do these artists want to give you money, or why do they want to share the premium that they can do on it? When J. Scott Campbell does his Marvel Rivals drop, like he just sells it out of his own store, like he doesn't need the retailer to list his signed book on eBay anymore. He has an eBay store where he can list his own book on it. Now, a little bit of a caveat here. I do think if you're an artist or a writer or whatever, retailers are your friend. They really are your friend. Like, it is extremely difficult to get your name out there. You need an army of comic book stores supporting your work. Like, you need an army of eBay sellers and whatnotters, because the truth is, no matter how big you are, how successful you are, even if it's just a couple other people who don't follow you and they follow this other person, this other seller, you want those customers too. So you do want to share the love to retailers. I want to say, like, it is important, because people have their own audiences and they have their own customers, and you can't do it all. Like, as popular as J. Scott Campbell is, not everyone buys from his store. Some people buy from insert eBay live streamer, but they love J. Scott Campbell. So it is good to have retailers working on your behalf effectively. So I'll say that there. But again, there was no guarantees that this was going to be a successful permanent thing that could be, going forever. So very interesting stuff with how the world of exclusives are changing. Between that, a lot of artists feel like they're way more privy to what things cost. I made mention, actually, when the JSA signature stuff came out, how artists needed to be aware of that. Like, how many times, like, it's clear when you have a CGC witness stand over your shoulder that you're going to send this book into CGC, and people are going to, slab it and likely resell it. So you kind of know what the game is. Like, if you're Frank Miller, like, the CGC witness is there, you know what it is, and it's fine. But when JSA came out, if I was like, oh yeah, I just want you to sign this, and like, oh man, I'm like a big fan, like, oh, this was my favorite book growing up, then it was like, I just sold you, my sob story and how I'm such a big fan, and you felt really good about signing my book. And then I really just brought it over to CGC's booth and said, hey, can you guys JSA this thing? It was signed by Chris Claremont. I'm going to flip it, and that happens a lot. That happens a lot. And actually, there's a couple YouTube things that happened where that kind of happened. And there was a little bit of a scandal. So I don't know. I think artists are just way more privy to this. And retailers are doing what they got to do to make money, whether they're bringing their pallets of books to be signed or they're doing the fame variants or the Tidalwave variants. And it's just wild. It's just wild. And I can't see a scenario where this ends well for Tidalwave. I don't wish them any harm. I don't know them. Truly, I don't know them. But how can Marvel and DC not eventually come after them for this? Like, it's beyond me that they can get away with it. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe Marvel and DC just do not care. Maybe they're just like, great, you do it. We don't even feel like making comic books anymore. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Tidalwave is a genius. Maybe they're going to be the next distributor of Marvel and DC. I'm sure that it's going to be a good ending for them. I'm sure. Derek says, once the first JSA scandal hits, maybe a signature series will start to get a premium. You know, you think that, but I don't know. Like, I think that if the scandal hits, you know, we'll all make the videos, we'll all hop into the chats, we'll all do the whole thing, and we'll all be, you know, 2% of people. And then, like, when the casual person goes up and buys the book, they're just going to be like, what's the difference between the gold label and the black and gold label? And the dealer's going to be like, it's the same. Because the dealer just wants to sell it. Do we think that the dealer is really going to tell the person what the difference is? That's the same thing. It's the same. Trust me. Just buy it. Just buy it. JSA books are selling basically the same as signature series. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be hard. Maybe if there's a scandal, we'll see. Why should fans pay those outrageous prices for signatures because of flippers? Just have a limit for signs. I think it just depends on who it is. I think that the problem is that it depends on the artist. Because if you are Todd McFarlane, then yeah, you can have a limit. Because you're gonna sign a bajillion things, whether they're fans or flippers or whatever. You can put 2 items per person. I don't care. But if you're like a lower tier artist, and this probably happens a lot to people who are on the come up, and some dealer who's like a fan of you says like, I want you to sign 20 books and I'll pay you $20. That might be your big customer for the day, even if their intent is to flip it. So as that artist, you may want that. You may want to take that opportunity because you may not even have 20 people that get your thing signed later that day. So I think it depends on who it is, but I agree with you for the most part. The bigger artists and stuff can probably just put a limit and just, yeah, like why do they need to sign 400,000 items? Like it's silly. It's kind of silly. Question to you: are Whatnot retailers deserving of a convention retailer badge to get into that room to get the retailer exclusives and so on at cons? Well, I don't know if they get a retailer badge. I would be shocked if the Whatnot seller who is just selling on Whatnot, like that goes to Dallas Fan Expo or whatever con, is getting a retail badge. I doubt that. If they have a retail badge and they're a Whatnot seller, it's maybe they also have a booth. So at that point, you can kind of make the case that like, they're set up. You know, I know a lot of people that set up at the cons and then they'll also stream Whatnot literally at the convention. Like, and that's kind of a normal thing. So I don't think that they're letting those people in. But if they were, to your point, yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. But I don't think that that's what's happening. Zello says, honestly, this is really dishonest. Personally, there should be a rule of two books max for signatures. Yeah, probably. MSG, at C2E2 a few years ago, a guy had 3 short boxes of Scotty Young variants, and he was mad at Scotty's handler for not giving him a deal on signatures because he had so many comics for him to sign. Yeah, you know, you're just not owed anything. You're not owed anything. That's the truth. If he doesn't want to sign your books, that's your SOL. Like, he doesn't have to sign your fucking books. Like, that's just what it is, you know? So, like, why people are upset, I don't know. But I think that people are stressed. They're probably really stressed because the game is tough. I always thought comic book as autos were weak sauce. Does it make you want to buy an issue? Like sign books? I'm not a big sign person. I've had a couple sign things, but I think the sign books that I have, like, yeah, usually they're just for me. Like, I'm not so worried about like adding a premium to a book. But again, I'm not somebody who collects like a ton of modern stuff. And if I do like modern stuff or I really like artists, it's usually just for me. But like, am I somebody who's like, oh, I want to get my, X-Men 101 signed by Chris Claremont so I can then get the premium for that? It's like, nah, like I'm not, I just don't care about that personally. I mean, that's not totally true. I mean, there might be artists that I want. Maybe I'd want a Todd McFarlane signature, but like, I probably would more. I never do the signature series at CGC, so that's me. I just never care. Like, I just never do them. So I'm not really somebody who is super into the signatures. But I wouldn't. But yeah. Let me see what you guys are saying here. When Peach came to NYCC after COVID the first time, she didn't expect that treatment. They quickly changed it to 10 books each, but they could re-enter the line and oh yeah, that was the infamous Peach Momoko situation where they had the fight there, which was totally crazy. It's kind of legendary thing. Science labs definitely are seen as adding a premium to the market, support that value discovery. 100%. I mean, people do it. People get it signed because it does add a premium. Like I said that I don't really care for it, but that's my personal preference. That's not me saying what the market cares for. The market absolutely doesn't. So that's why people get the signatures. But it's just crazy that it's just becoming more and more of a thing. More and more of a thing. Don't small artists don't get paid for appearances compared to smaller artists who don't need to sell as many signatures as possible to make the trip to cons worthwhile. I'm a little unclear what you were saying, but if you were getting at like the small artists are definitely not paid to be at the shows. So, I mean, it depends on what we're constituting as small. Like there's varying degrees, and really like it's what you think it is. Todd McFarlane is being paid to be there. Someone more mid-range is also maybe getting compensated to be there, but probably doesn't have the Todd McFarlane writer, and then there's like the more upcoming, independent, like cool artist who's, gaining traction, and they may likely be buying the booth or renting the booth themselves to be there. A lot of times what happens though is retailers are in theory hiring artists or paying artists to be there, or at the very least, the artists are going and just donating their time because they want to be there because they're there to promote their work and engage with their fans and all that stuff. So they might spend time at a retailer's booth. They might say, hey, if I'm a retailer and I have a booth and I'm like, hey, you should come to my booth and sign books for a couple hours and I'll promote you as like, hey, Swaggle House is going to be at the booth from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, So that's what a lot of the retailers do. So anyways, that's kind of, I think, some of the big news with what's going on in the retail world, what happened at Dallas Fan Expo. A lot of interesting books sold. Like I was just checking eBay with like some of the biggest titles that, sold over the weekend. And actually a lot of Exquisite Corpses was like the big book that I saw selling a lot. Something's Killing Children, a Superman foil variant. It's amazing, man. Let me show you guys here. Like, it's incredible, man. You know what always sells? Logos. Logos are the next best thing, the next hotness. How many foil logos do we think that there are in comic books? How many variant foil logos exist? A lot, but a lot of sales here. Mark Spears' book selling a lot, $110, So there's another Cover Swipe, Nightmare on Elm Street. But yeah, there was a ton of variants at the show. A lot of Fame books. Here's a Michael Jordan one, another thing. We've been talking about the superhero thing, but like, again, like having Michael Jordan on it. Like, Fame was also the one where they were doing like the Taylor Swift books and all that stuff. And it's like, how do they get away with this? This is like so crazy. But let's be honest, Taylor Swift is not going to come after them. It's not going to matter. Now, I'll tell you this, though. What I'm waiting for, and I will be a hypocrite to everything that I've said today, because if Tidalwave comes out with a Fame Sydney Sweeney bathwater book, I'll be the first person to buy that. I will buy that, and I will flip that thing, because you know what? I know that everyone's going to want it. And I wanted to talk about this because I just thought it would be fun. Did you guys see this thing? This Sydney Sweeney bathwater. I would like to put it out there that I am the first comic book collecting YouTuber that made jokes about bathwater. I'm taking that credit. Go watch my, what did I do? My whiteboard video. This is your future. I had such a good bathwater line. I need to make another whiteboard video, guys. I've been slacking. I'm sorry. I definitely need to do another whiteboard video. I have an idea. Working concept. Let me just float it out to you guys. It's not a comic book concept. My working concept is I want to do something about bad writing in MCU movies. And I can imagine that the whiteboard thing will be like, why your script sucks. And I would take you through the journey of why your script inevitably sucks. That's kind of what I want to do for my next whiteboard video. But Swag, let's focus in on this. I was the first to talk about bathwater, and Dr. Sasquatch is doing this Sydney Sweeney's Bathwater Bliss. In collaboration with Sydney Sweeney, we created a limited edition soap infused with her actual bathwater. Why? Because y'all wouldn't stop asking. And Sydney said, let's do it. What a legend. So there you guys go. I guess, like Cameron said, I'm sure this is totally real. And I'm sure that she actually got in a bathtub and they took her bath water and infused it into the bars of soap. But I got to say, to enter to win this limited bathwater soap, follow, like this post, and leave a comment. Swaggle here said bathwater to the moon. I'm just saying, listen, I am all in on this bathwater. I put my name in the hat. If I win this bathwater, you better believe I am doing an unboxing for this. I might have to do a review of the video, which is probably something you guys won't want, but I might have to do it. I might have to review the bar soap. I might have to lotion my own body just to feel the soap. It's pretty crazy. We live in the most ridiculous times. We are in the simulation. This is the most, like, we are in like degenerate GTA 7. Okay, everyone is excited about GTA 6. Man, we are living GTA 7 right now. Like, that's how crazy the world is. Like, man, all these people, all the retailers out there, trying to squeeze a little bit, like 20, let me get like little margin on this comic book, buy the exclusive, flip it, just whatever, skit. Guys, forget comic books. Get in the bathwater. That is the future. Plastics. One word. I'm telling you. But I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome. If I win this, 100%, I am flipping this bar of soap on eBay. This thing is going to go crazy. I think that they said they're only making 100 of them. Either way, I'm going to make a video about the first sale of Sydney Sweeney's bathwater. I will find it and I will see how much it sells for. Minimum, taking bets right now, it's $500. Minimum this thing is selling for sure. Hyper capitalism. Absolutely. Someone going to drink that soap water once they want to buy it. There's some really hilarious stuff that I probably can't share on stream right now. Funny memes. I was just like, dude, people on the internet are hilarious. Anybody want to buy Elvis's hair? No. Bathwater spec is dead. The future is farts and jars. Oh, man. You know what? The thing is, farts and jars with CD Sweeney, you know that those would sell as well. That's the thing. Again, the simulation, guys. Will you get the soap graded? Only if it comes back a 9.9. Only if it comes back a 9. Sold out, going for 100 plus on eBay. Wait, it's already out? I thought that this was a giveaway contest. There's no way that it's already. Wait a minute. Wait, what? It's already out? Wait a second. You guys are blowing my mind right now. Oh my God. There it is. There it is, boys. There it is. The market is flooding. Pre-sales. Are none of these bathwaters in hand? Oh, what a steal. $89. $89. Best offer. Pre-sales, none of these things are in hand. Listen, I want to see the bar of soap in hand. I don't want to know what that seller did with it before they do not buy opened Sydney Sweeney bathwater bars. Take it from me. If there's one thing that you guys get from tonight's stream, be careful out there. There are a lot of scammers. There are a lot of people that will sell you opened Sydney Sweeney bathwater soap. You don't want to know what they've done with it. Okay? Protect yourself. Make sure, pretend like it's Halloween. All right? No unopened candy. Has any of this sold, though? $200. Oh my God. Oh my God. Somebody paid $200. Honestly, I think they got a good price. I think that might have been a steal. If I'm being honest. I mean, somebody also bought it for 94, you know? 150, 99, 49, 100. You guys, this is the real deal. Multiple sales. This person got the gift of a lifetime. $50. What a steal. I can't believe the seller was willing to let it go for $50. This is crazy. This is crazy. I don't trust this. I don't trust that these are pre-sale items. How do I know that this person is actually going to have it? Let's go back to this post here. We need to investigate this. Introducing Sydney Sweeney Bliss Bathwater. In collaboration with Sydney Sweeney, we created a limited edition, blah, 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 blah. 100 winners or enter that. But can I buy one? No. See, but can I buy one? Not yet. But we'll have a very limited stock when they do drop. Keep an eye out for an announcement. How are they selling this? What? I mean, how does Invict to Watch Fan 17 know that he's going to get his hands on bathwater? How does Tech Trend Official know that they're going to have bathwater to sell? How does David Sell have the confidence that he will sell bathwater? I don't trust this, man. This is where's that bathwater been? Can we get this signed? Okay. We do need to get this bathwater signed by Sydney Sweeney and graded. We need that for sure. 100% for sure. Oh my God. Shout out to Ryan, Automatic Comics. Swaggle Sweeney Bathwater Fund. You know, I used to say, guys, how do you know you have a friend? You know how you know you have a friend? When they pick you up from the airport. If you have somebody in your life that'll pick you up from the airport, that's a friend. I'm going to change that. If you have someone in your life that will donate $4.99 for your Sydney Sweeney Bathwater Fund, that's how you know you have a friend. Thank you, Ryan. Shout out to you. Really appreciate it. Man, I cannot believe it. I don't understand how these people are able to list this. And more importantly, I don't understand why people have the confidence in buying pre-sale bathwater that is not technically out yet, at least as far as I understand it from their post, which is only 3 days ago. How are they going to have this thing? But what a world we live in. What a time. What a time, guys. What a time. We are in the end of days. Mickey really loves himself some dirty Sydney Sweeney water. Listen, Sydney Sweeney, she's a very, very attractive lady. Very attractive lady. But is she my goat? Is she my grail when it comes to grail bathwater? I don't know. I don't know if she's in my top 5. I don't know what my top 5 would be, but I don't think Sydney Sweeney would be in my top 5 bathwater list. Okay, maybe I'll make a hot list of my bathwater top 5 in the future. Well, that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. That was me doing a little bit of a roundup for some of the interesting stories that occurred this past week in comic book land. And I thought it was interesting. I think, though, being that it's Sunday night, we've been going about 90 minutes. Might cut it there, end it there. I think ending on the bathwater note is probably the best place to end it. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Once again, if you guys are interested, 24/7 Comics, we just put out our latest graphic novel, Heroes Be Damned, by Vince Sunuku. Also featuring Terry Kavanaugh and Nicholas Lucic. Awesome, gory heroes, boys meets Spawn. Check out the trailer. I don't want to play it. I'll put a link in the description. Maybe it's something you guys are interested in. Maybe it's something you want to check out. You want to read a book. I can't say that there's any tears in there that have bathwater in them, but cool comic book. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll get back on track this week. We'll do some videos. I got a couple things. I picked up some interesting books. I have some ideas of what I want to do, how I want to frame it. I've been going all high grades, man. I'm over low grades. You know the premise, no grade better than low grade? Nah, I'm over low grades, guys. I'm over it. As I have 0.5 Captain America. All right. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Really, really appreciate all you guys. Stay safe out there. Make sure your bathwater is sealed before you use it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. See y'all in the next stream.